Hello, Moon Jelly Kevin here, and today I'm going to be talking about Guilty Gear, the fighting game franchise put out by Arc System Works, put out in 1998, starting with this one, The Missing Link, which is a game that I did not start with. I started with Guilty Gear X2, if I'm being completely honest, but yeah, I just want to show the series some love. It's very topical right now with Guilty Gear Strive, and I wanted to talk about my personal history with the game and what I think about them. And I want to be completely honest, shoot straight right off the bat. I do not have every single Guilty Gear game in existence because, let's be honest, they really milked this franchise, especially the X2 series, quite a bit. If you own every single Guilty Gear game, and this is me like shooting off the top of my head, you've got Guilty Gear, The Missing Link, you got Guilty Gear X, Guilty Gear XX, Guilty Gear XX Isuka, you have Guilty Gear Accent Core Plus, Accent Core Plus R. You have Guilty Gear Exard, Exard Sign, Revelator 2. You have Strive, the new one. You have Guilty Gear 2, the one that's not even a fighting game. It's kind of like a weird beat 'em up thing. You have Game Boy Advance's Guilty Gear, which I think is based off of X. And then you also have Dust Strikers, which is the one on the DS, because the DS had to have every title have DS in it somewhere. And I'm sure I'm missing some Guilty Gear games. This is just me kind of rambling off the top of my head, and I'm sure I've messed up a couple of them. Some of them probably the same goddamn game. But anyways, there are too many Guilty Gear games, and if you honestly are a huge fan and you have every single game, I'd love to see your collection. So link me in the comments below, whether that's in your social media or on your own videos. And also just tell me what you generally think about Guilty Gear, because I'm a huge fan. I've been playing since 2002. And yeah, still going strong to this day. So what is it? What is Guilty Gear? Guilty Gear is a one-on-one fighting game franchise. As a guy who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, I started on games like Street Fighter and moved on to games like KOF, so I was a huge fan of those games. And I feel Guilty Gear X2 is, just Guilty Gear in general, but I think starting with the X series and onward is just a perfect marriage of those two type of franchises. A lot of the archetypes that you will find in Guilty Gear are very similar to Street Fighter characters. It's just that they take them up to an extreme. And a lot of the movement and mobility and the combos, I would say, are more like something you would see out of a KOF. You have combo extenders like the Roman cancel. You get all sorts of movement, like being able to run. I don't know if this was the first game with the air dash, but it was definitely the one that I remember having an air dash. And very influential game. You would go on to see a lot of anime-style fighters become a little bit more popular after this game exploded. But yeah, so starting first, we have the first game, Guilty Gear, The Missing Link. This one is on PlayStation. This is my copy. It's a Japanese copy. And I did not pick this up back in the day. In fact, when I first was aware of Guilty Gear, and it was probably sometime in the 90s, I was a junkie for video games. And I would go to the rental store because we didn't buy video games, we rented them. And we went to a place called Nina Video in Carson, and I would see Guilty Gear on the shelves, not this one, it would be the North American box art. And I just honestly did not want to play it because it's called Guilty Gear. What the heck kind of name is Guilty Gear? And I just, I didn't want anything to do with it. Probably picked up something else like I don't know, a Siphon Filter game or some Tom Clancy game. But yeah, Guilty Gear, weird title, did not pick it up in the 90s. And I would go on to work at a video game store in the mid-2000s, and I would see this game again. I would see Guilty Gear on the shelf, and this was a game that would go for like $100 to $300. I don't know what was wrong with the store I was working at. I was working at a place called Gameland in Torrance, but yeah, this game was super rare. I don't know if it's still rare to this day, but I would go on to eventually play this in the magical year of 2021 because you guys could pick this up on the Nintendo Switch. I picked up this Japanese copy because I own a Japanese PlayStation. And it's cool to watch. It's cool to play. The sprite work is a little bit more pixelated. Looks very much in line with something like Street Fighter Alpha 2, the Alpha 2 series, or the KOF series. But it's interesting. It's not fully formed. I have seen some videos of some broken stuff in this game, but hey, all the core things that we've grown to love about Guilty Gear is there. The music is fantastic. The presentation is great. The sprite work is really good, but they definitely took it up to the next level with the next game, which is, for me, for people, it's usually Guilty Gear X, but for me, it was Guilty Gear X2. Now, like I said, I did not play this one right away. I knew of it. I didn't want to play it because I had a stupid name, but Guilty Gear X2. And X came before this. X was actually a game that I played. My friend got it, and we played it over his house. But X2 was the one that I first owned. Now, why did we get into this game? Well, in the dawn of the early internet, and you just really had a lot of passion for fighting games. Fighting games had to be played at the arcade. You guys don't understand that. Like, you didn't have fighting games at home, or if you did have them at home, they weren't nearly as good or as crisp as they were at the arcade. So, we were hitting the dawn of the millennium around the year 2000, and we had the consoles like the Dreamcast, the PS2, and all of a sudden, we were able to get the arcade experience at home. And I am a huge fighting game fan. I still am to this day. Started with Street Fighter, continued with KOF, and what really got me into Guilty Gear was message boards, going on things like GameFAQs back in the day. That was pretty instrumental in discovering what other fighting games. So I could discover a game like Garo Mark of the Wolves, or The Last Blade, or Power Instinct Metro Melee, or the Double Dragon fighting games. And Guilty Gear was one of those games that always got highly recommended. And with X and X2, finally, these games were easily to access. Because, I don't know, we didn't really have a lot of game stores when this one came out. So getting this one was a little bit more esoteric and hard to come by. Whereas this one, you know, you could just, finally in the year 2000s, you had stores like GameStop and EB Games and Babbage's. And this was just something you could just pick off the shelf. It was everywhere. So definitely picked it up. We had a group of friends who all played fighting games. Just to name a couple, there was a lot of players, but the main ones that I want to mention is my buddy Andrew and my brother John. And because I had these two people, my brother who lived with me, we were both living with my parents, we were all teenagers at the time, and my friend Andrew, who lived roughly about 2 miles away, we had our own training camp. So this meant that, hey, you know, you have these other guys, these other jabronis who wanted to go play at our house, and they never got good because they went home to nothing. You know, they went home to a training mode, they went home to a younger brother who didn't care, or maybe they didn't have siblings. I had my brother, so I played against my brother, who played Chip, I played as May, and then there's my buddy Andrew, who lived 2 miles up the street, who played Kai. So those were the kind of players that I would play with all the time, and because we played like on a daily basis, I'm not saying we got great, Andrew definitely got great, but we got somewhere decent. What do I love about X2? It is the first game. We had games like Wind Waker and, you know, Dragon's Lair, where you're literally playing, like, you know, the video cutscenes, like Time Gal, you know. But this was the first game where it looked like you were playing an anime. You know, you were playing an actual anime. You had games like Alpha 2, and it had anime style. You have games like The King of Fighters, which went for more like a realistic anime style. But Guilty Gear went for an unapologetically anime style. The character designs were all super goofy and nutty. Just off the bat, I mean, you have a guy who fights pool balls with Venom. You have a vampire in Slayer. You have Zato and Axel. You got so many memorable, weird characters. Again, I play as May. I have been playing as May since for 20 years now. So seeing a little girl with who fights with dolphins and wields a giant anchor, you know, this is just a memorable experience. And there was something about playing this game on a CRT where it just it looked right, you know, like the lines were crisp and it looked like just an anime coming to life. And even just dumb little things like, you know, when you punch each other, the lightning strikes. I don't know what that's called, but first time seeing that was intense. You know, like we knew fighting games were being taken to another level. I mean, we had a little bit of criticism because, we came from traditional, like, King of Fighters and Street Fighter, and those, the execution on the combos were super hard. And, immediately, my immediate reaction to Guilty Gear was that, oh, it's going for that chain combo style. The style like Darkstalkers. And where you could just go from a light, medium to, like, a heavy. Just very easy. Like, you could, just very easy combos. And, boy, was I wrong. Because things like Roman cancels would just make this a way more in-depth experience as it went along. Sorry, guys. I gotta wipe my sweat. Once again, we're stuck here in really hot Los Angeles County weather. So, yeah, I played this one to death. This is the one that I really enjoyed. I would play again with my friend Andrew. I would play as May, and he would play as Kai. And because of that, 2 songs get burned in our head. The one is Blue Water, Blue Sky, the da 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 da. And then the other one is, the Kai song, the Be Just or Be Dead. I don't remember. Holy Orders, I think that's what it's called. The one. So, I mean, a lot of people now, you gotta understand, early 2000s, there's not this meme thing. There's no, it's like we just called them internet jokes back in the day. But the internet was really, like, new for most people. So, people now, they meme the new May song. But, man, for us, I don't know. It was a meme within our group. So we went on and played Accent Core a lot. This is the one that I played a lot in college. My friend had Isuka, and we would play Isuka, but, that one never made for a great experience with a bunch of people. But Accent Core is the one that I remember I played in college. This is Accent Core Plus, which is the updated version of Accent Core. And I don't know. It's funny because I don't really remember so much sometimes this game. I think after a while these games kind of blend. But with this one, I remember the players, like I remember meeting people for the first time. I don't know why this is a weird memory, but my first time ever meeting a guy, and I'm still buddies with this guy, and my friend brought his PS2 to the college campus lounge. We sit there, and I'm meeting this guy for the first time, and he clearly looks like he's South American. I don't know what it was, if he wanted some cool points with me, but he would say something like, he let it slide that he was like part Korean for some reason. And I'm like, I'm not Korean. I don't know why you're trying to tell me like, hey, I'm one of you, but I don't know. Maybe because, the stereotype is that Koreans are really good fighting game players. Maybe you want to intimidate me, but it was a weird thing. And I still know this guy to this day. I don't know if he remembers that story, but yeah, weird memory. I also remember one time playing this in the college lounge and going up against a guy who just had the worst salt and rage. And, people are mad nowadays getting Tatsugeki, getting dolphined multiple times by May. But this was the game that, this guy I would play. And this guy that I would play, he lived the heavy metal life. And if you haven't figured out from this game, it has a very heavy metal art design and music design, and this is his game. Like, he felt like it was his game. Like, he felt like, yeah, this is my game, it represents me. And we pop this in, and he just eats like 20 dolphins in a row, and then he dies by whale. And he got so mad, he like chucked this video game controller on the floor, and he's huffing and puffing, and then I'm just there, with a big stupid nervous grin in my face as I was sitting next to him playing this game. And, he walks away, and it's silent, because everyone's just awkward, because they heard that huge thud of him just chucking the controller, just being super mad. And then all of a sudden, he just, comes straight up to my face, and he's like, fuck you! And then he walks out. This is another guy that I keep in touch with, and I don't know if he remembers this story, but that was probably my second or third time meeting that guy, and he did that to me over this game. So Accent Core was also the one that we played in arcades. So yeah, whether it be Super Arcade or Arcade Infinity. So I have a lot of love and nostalgia for this one as well. Then we got over here Exard Revelator. And good game. Did not get into this one nearly as much. Just, adulting happens. By the time this comes out, I'm already... when was this? I think by the time this came out, I was just... Yeah, 2016. I'm already working and starting a job, starting my career. So didn't get the chance to put as much time into this one, but still a lot of fun. We did have a couple of meetups, but I think after that initial first week, I kind of dropped it, and I think a lot of it had to do with, just the timing of my life, and, I don't think the online play was nearly as good. And lastly, that brings us to Guilty Gear Strive, the latest game in the series. And I will be completely honest. I am not that great at these games. I want you to understand that. I had a slight edge when I was younger because I had some great training partners to play with. But everybody likes to play online now, and I do not like playing online. That's not where my heart's at. My heart is in person. That's why I'm debating whether or not to enter this tournament tomorrow at Animanga 2021 for Guilty Gear Strive. The only thing that's stopping me, even though I paid my $50 for admission, is the global thing that's happening right now. So I'd rather, rather not get sick. But I don't know. I might still go. Maybe I'll just be very safe about it. But yeah, Guilty Gear Strive is very fun. It's very accessible, high damage. A lot of people are complaining about, which characters are broken. I definitely agree that Soul is like fighting a boss character, I feel. But the online's really good, and that makes me want to keep coming back. And again, the presentation is great. Still play as May, and I got a bunch of angry people who like to, just walk up with their avatars in the lobby and just tell me I'm trash and garbage. And, if I actually bother to reply, I'd be like, yeah, I know. I am halfway decent with May, not because I picked her up because, she's super trendy right now because she's doing really well and she's super, strong in the tier list. I've been playing this character for like 20 years. And even still, like I said, like I alluded to earlier, a lot of the characters in Guilty Gear, they feel like archetypes from Street Fighter, just done crazy. Like if you play as Kai, he has a DP, he has a projectile. He has some way of getting across the screen pretty easily. He has a lot of movement options, and he's kind of in the tradition of a traditional Shoto, even though he doesn't look like a Shoto. I play as May. I play as Balrog in Street Fighter. I like to be able to rush down people. I like to be able to rush down people and have good mix-up potentials, good mix-up options, and I like a character that hits hard. So yeah, and my brother likes Chip, who has like a DP and he has Rekkas, and he would play as Fei Long, in Street Fighter. So yeah, really enjoying this game. Entering the tournament tomorrow, maybe, and that's it. I think that's it as far as my history with the Guilty Gear series. Last couple of things I want to show over here. We have a Guilty Gear arcade stick. Not only do I have one of them, I have two of them. My girlfriend's workplace had these, so shout out to my girlfriend. And they were about to throw them away, and I wanted to have these. It's a piece of history. Because that's the thing about these games that I think is going to be lost. As more people get into playing on CAD and the arcade days become lost, we kind of forget things like this. Like, this is the layout, right? You guys see that? Punch, medium, slash, heavy slash, dust. Right? Kind of an interesting button layout, very similar to the SNK button layout. But these are the things that are going to be lost to time. So, yeah. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this retrospective, this rambling about Guilty Gear. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this game. And let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. All right? Are you enjoying Guilty Gear? Are you a fan? Are you a new player? Or are you like me where you've been playing this for 20 years? Like, I don't lab out things as much as probably a lot of people do. But when it comes to me, a lot of it comes from like muscle memory. From just playing this character for like 20 years. A lot of the same stuff kind of works, and there's some new tricks definitely to use in the new game. Even if she has less moves, all the characters have less moves. There's definitely some new tricks to be discovered. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.